Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Best on Wellbeing podcast. Today, I'd like to say a few words about gratitude. Little shout out to my neighbor John, who made a nice comment on the previous episode about countering negative bias through the practice of gratitude. And I think this is an excellent topic for this short episode today. Lo and behold, gratitude is good for you. What a big surprise that being grateful and practicing gratitude is healthy for us. But I will tell you, there is a ton of peer reviewed scientific, psychological literature and evidence that tells us again and again and again in very definitive terms that practicing gratitude, to having a grateful approach to life, is very beneficial to mental well being. And last episode, when I had my positive rant, we discussed a little bit about the negative bias that our brains have a programming from years and thousands of years of evolution to constantly kind of shift to what's negative, to bring focus, to be attentive to what's negative. Because at one time, as we said, it helped us to survive. It helped us to survive, to focus on the bad things that might eat us or might make us sick or might come and kill us. Like there's things like that that help. So constantly paying attention to negative things was a mechanism of survival. But today we're in a very different environment. Our ability to cooperate, our ability to be kind to one another is really what's going to drive our civilization to its next stage in terms of a global thriving society. It's not about surviving our material needs. This is about getting along together. This is about being kind, being nice, being happy within ourselves, comfortable within our own skin. Like that saying, our inside world is reflected in the outside world. Or excuse me, the outside world is reflected from our inside world. That if we take care of the inside world, the outside world will naturally correct and take care of itself. So gratitude isn't just something that's a cute card or a cute meme. Be grateful, yay! It's it's really deeply important, and it's a mechanism to begin to unprogram. These are words, ways to talk about the mind. So I like the idea of software. Our brain, the actual mushy organ is the hardware, and our brain has all sorts of different programming software. And some of it is inherited from our own special, unique conditions in life and family. And some of it is programming from, like we said, thousands of years of evolution. We've programmed our brains in certain ways. And some of it has served us for a long time, and now some of it doesn't serve us anymore. And so to be grateful, to practice gratitude, is a way to counter this tendency, this programming that always wants to see the negative, always wants to see what's going wrong in life. And the difficulty with this programming is it doesn't serve you. It's not going to help you survive. Like we said, our life expectancy has doubled in the last 100 years, which means our likelihood to survive and live a long, prosperous life has never been higher. And so looking at the negative is not going to help you with that. So gratitude is really about a sort of an application to apply ourselves to recognizing the many good things in our lives. And it's not simply about recognizing it, it's about feeling it, okay? Gratitude, in my view, has to be beyond a simple cognitive process. Oh, how nice that I have this thing. How nice. And just a kind of a mental narrative. It has to be felt, even if it's just a little bit. So one practice that can be considered is to simply write down or think about, but sometimes writing things down can be really useful, to write down 3 things that we appreciate about our lives. And usually people will start with the big stuff. I appreciate my kids, I appreciate my spouse, my job, my house, all those things. And we write them down, and then but the important part is once you've identified, let's say, 3 things you appreciate in your life, you want to take a moment to feel it. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could just be a tiny little bit of a warmth in the chest, of just feel a tiny little bit of gratitude. So it's not just this like, I'm thankful for this, I'm thankful for that. I mean, that's a good start, but we want to take a moment to just pause and just feel it. And then the more challenging part after that is to try to come up with three new things on a day-to-day basis. Okay. And it can almost feel silly at one point because let's say hypothetically you do this practice and you actually write it down, and every day you come up with three new things. Well, after let's say 20 days, you've come up with 60 different things in your life that you're grateful for. And if you do it for a month, you've come up with 90 different things you're grateful for. And the reality is that if you do that, it will have a wonderful impact on your well-being, because you might find yourself a month of doing this like, you know, I feel like I appreciate my life a little more these days. And is it because your life actually changed, that your outer circumstances have changed? Probably not, not within a month, but your gratitude muscle of your brain has become stronger. The lens by which you perceive your reality has been altered because there's much more gratitude pervading how you interface with your reality. And so it can be silly. Sometimes it's like after 20 days, you're at your 60th thing, you're trying to come up with a new thing that you're grateful for. And it's like, well, I appreciate that cute squirrel or something, and that's the point. That's the point of looking for silly things, because it's actually very hard to identify all the wonderful things in our lives. Like just stepping into a warm shower every morning. Like imagine just 100 years ago when there was no like clean water and piping wasn't a thing yet. It just didn't happen. Like you had to warm, get a fire going, warm up the water. Maybe if you had enough money, you had a tub somewhere around and you had to fill the tub with warm water before you could have a hot bath. Like imagine doing that in the winter. Like just stepping into a warm shower it's an amazing thing. All the piping, all the technology, the pressure systems that can push the water. There is so much abundance around us that we forget, the warm shower, whatever, I'm going to shower. It's like, kings and queens didn't have showers. Like we're so lucky. So gratitude is kind of almost a silly exercise to push ourselves to constantly look for little things that we can feel grateful for. And it can even be things that are not as positive in our lives. If we're having trouble with our boss at work, try to identify a few things that we'd still appreciate about our boss, even if there's some challenges that we have to face. So that's it for today, folks. Remember that gratitude is a highly evidence-based. Okay, there's a ton of literature showing us it's very good for us. We have to learn to feel it, not just think something grateful, but feel it. Feel it will actually get it into our bones a bit more. And it's an effective way to counteract this tendency that we've all inherited, nobody's fault, to just constantly look for negative. We have to get into the habit of also identifying all the very positive things and feeling gratitude for it. Thank you very much, folks. We'll see you next time.